received a few requests on my Facebook page to do the same videos that I usually do on my YouTube channel. I do in Hebrew, to do them in English. So after a little bit of thought and some hesitations, I decided to give it a go, and hopefully you forgive all my stuttering, grammar mistakes, and silly accent. So I guess most of you know me as Sarah K. This is like, I guess, my alter ego. I use that name for anything that has to do with my tattoo modeling, and my real name is Kareen. This video is kind of just for you to get to know me a little bit and how I became to love tattoos so much. So we'll start 20 years ago when I was a young teenager, and I guess I don't really have a straight, like, direct answer why I love tattoos so much and what was the first time that made me love tattoos. I don't really remember. I just remember seeing a few people, sorry, I think during my dad used to live abroad, so I guess I used to see some tattooed people in the US while visiting, because in Israel 20 years ago it wasn't as popular as it is now, and I didn't have any many opportunities to see people with tattoos, and especially not people with a lot of tattoos. So I guess I was exposed to that while visiting abroad. And also I remember there was a store that opened in my hometown, just a store for magazines, and while looking around I saw a few tattoo magazines and I was blown away. I don't know, I just kind of love at first sight, I guess, but for tattoos. And I kind of knew that this is how I want to look when I'm older. I wanted to look that way immediately, but unfortunately being 13, 14, that wasn't even a possibility. I mean, it wasn't, you couldn't get tattooed. I mean, you could, but not really if you were under 18, and of course my mom wouldn't approve. I even remember when I was 14, the internet was just starting, and I started just to explore the net and getting into all kinds of forums and websites that showed pictures of piercings and tattoos, and I was fascinated. And I remember, in an attempt to convince my mom to allow me to get either tattooed or pierced, I wrote a paper, like a high school paper or something, but I took it really, really serious, and I tried to show her that getting tattooed or pierced doesn't necessarily mean you are, I don't know, a criminal or belong to a bad company, you know, all the stereotypes that had to do with getting tattooed. I think my mom still has that paper. She was very impressed. Obviously she wasn't convinced, unfortunately for me, but she was very impressed. And eventually I did get a small tiny tattoo when I was 14. It was one of the happiest days of my life. I had a friend who was much older than me, who was heavily tattooed, and he kind of he was like an outsider, and I think he saw that I was um, like a very troubled teen and kind of depressed, and he took me to get my first tattoo. And it was a very special day. Of course I was terrified, but it was for me like a very special day and a very happy day. And I felt like one step toward the way I wanted to look. I want to share with you that I was a very unpopular teenager. I didn't have a lot of friends. I wasn't, you know how, oh, there's a storm, sorry. You know how some teenagers just go through being a teenager and they're looking good, their skin is great, and everything just goes great for them? Well, I wasn't one of those. I was pretty ugly, and I was awkward, and I didn't really fit in to any kind of group, and obviously that also made me a very like a sad person. I was sad, I think, through most of my teenage years, and I kind of decided that, I don't know, getting a tattoo and forming kind of the image of how I would want to look when I'm older gave me some comfort. Of course, it also made me anxious and sometimes sad because I couldn't look the way I wanted to look right now. But I can say now that I do look the way I wanted to look when I was a teenager, and that is why I appreciate myself and the road that got me here. And you know, also getting tattooed more slowly and having it been a process to being what I am today, I think gave me a much deeper appreciation for tattoos. And if I compare it to kind of the trend today, where young people get tattooed very fast and like cover themselves quite quickly because they want to look a certain way because it's fashionable. I think for me, because it was a process and it took at least, I would say, 15 years, it made me appreciate the process itself and the struggle, and appreciate myself. And so tattoos for me were very, like, I would say, even a purpose. And I feel prettier having tattoos. I know many people don't agree, and sometimes you get comments like, oh, why are you ruining your skin or how you look? But it doesn't affect me at all, because I remember that little girl, and that sad little girl that really just wanted to be someone she couldn't be at that moment, and now I am. And for me, it's everything. It's kind of hard to explain those emotions, but I'm sure many of you who struggled as a teenager can relate in some way or the other. It doesn't have to be tattoos. Everybody has something. But for me, tattoos are really a passion. Even though I'm not a tattooer, it's one of the things that I love the most in life. And it's an art, and it's beautiful, and it makes me confident and happy and feel complete with myself. And that's just like a teeny tiny bit that I could squish in 10 minutes for you to get to know me a little bit better. And I hope my English was okay for you to understand. And let me know if you would have any requests for videos, things that you want to know about me. I would love to film videos that will answer your questions. And I hope you like this video. Hope you will continue watching, and thank you for listening, and thank you for following me on my Facebook page. See you next time. Bye bye.